What my tea sipping dudes? How good will MX versus ATV Legends be? Should you buy it? Is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be better than Reflex? That's what this video is all about right here. This is probably the biggest thing I get in the chat of my live streams nowadays. Gotta love the T-Boy 420 boy. Oh, man. Susie boy just keeps changing it up, dude. Oh, my God. Anyways, this is one of the most frequently asked questions that I get. How people kind of wondering how I think MX versus ATV Legends is actually going to be. I think we do have somewhat of a release kind of, not like a fully, is it a fully confirmed release date yet? I don't fucking know. I've heard it's kind of somewhere around maybe December of 2022 as a release date, but don't hold me to it. That's just kind of what I've heard. I don't think like Steam has come out with an official release date on the game or anything like that, so I don't want to get too like, trying to tell you guys one thing and it's actually not the case. But you should expect MX vs. ATV Legends to be released sometime in late 2022 or like maybe even early 2023. It's probably going to be something about like that. It's probably about what you could expect with it. So, first things first, I don't think MX vs. ATV Legends is going to be as good as Reflex. I just simply don't believe that. It's really hard to match up to Reflex. Let's just keep it real right now. This game just struck like a insane, amazing balance between gameplay and track design and for the time, the graphics, whoa, Switzy boy, the tree bouncing out here, dude. Didn't know he was doing enduro cross, bro. Got a little GNCC hair scramble, dude. Oh, man, I still love Reflex to death, dude. I'm on the Xbox 360 version right now. Oh, this shit feels so good on the 360. But, yeah, like, I think today it's... Oh, whoo! Spitzy boy just almost popping off. Definitely let me know down in the comments how you guys feel Legends is going to end up being in the long run. I do feel like it's going to be decent amounts of like track content, stuff like that. I do think it's going to be better than MX versus ATV All Out. Oh, Spincy boy. Whoo! Man, we got some airtime right there. Oh, then I pop off. That felt like I was doing a damn Axel Hodges, like, half pipe hip jump right there, dude. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, basically, in a nutshell, like, that's where I sit with MX vs. ATV Legends right now. I think it's going to be not as good as Reflex, but better than MX vs. ATV All Out. So you could kind of imagine that in your head about where you think that would be. I think it's going to take MX vs. ATV another couple of, oh my God, Spootsy boy out here with the crazy moments all video long, dude. Holy shit. I think it's going to take MX vs. ATV like another game or two before we can even really think about one of them being as good as Reflex. It's going to be tough to do that, especially if you talk about the PC version of Reflex with all the custom content. I think that's a really big thing with these newer MX versus ATV games. It's like, are we going to get one that really gets that full PC, custom track, custom gear, custom content, community-made kind of thing to it? Like, are we going to get that with one of these newer MX vs. ATV games, or are they just going to keep not really doing that for the PC version? I don't know. You guys know at this point we have a track editor for Reflex on PC, tons of custom tracks. We've got the track editor for the Unleashed MX vs. ATV Unleashed on PC. We've got a track editor for MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore with the custom track Steam Workshop support, but yet we have none of that for MX vs. ATV All Out. There is no real track editor, there is no real custom tracks, there is no real any of that kind of shit. I just can't believe any dirt bike game in the modern day age of gaming would come out without a track editor at this point. Like, I'm genuinely shocked anytime a full AAA dirt bike game comes out without a track editor, because all them boys working on MX vs. ATV or Milestone or whatever, they all know how important a track editor is. I mean, it's literally that's like the new age of shit, man. When you talk about MX Sim and MX bikes and the new age of Reflex on PC, all that shit is all based around track editor, custom PC content, gear, bike skins, custom gear. And it seems like MX vs. ATV is just trying to get back on their feet after the absolute disaster of MX vs. ATV Supercross. And Encore was a little better than Supercross, but you guys know that was all a shit show of... All that shit should have just been put in MX vs. ATV Alive back when it first came out as a full game, but it wasn't. It was all split up into micro DLC, and then it really took the series down, I feel like. We had to get like super restrictive whips on MX vs. ATV Supercross, and they had to free the whips again. It's kind of went through like a weird place, just faking out here, dude. Oh, man. MX vs. ATV series has been through a very, very weird decade, to say the least, after Reflex, Reflex came out in 2009, and I feel like the series just ain't really been the same since. Obviously, MX vs. ATV Alive had some cool elements to it, but not enough content. Physics felt not just like a proper advancement from Reflex, You can't really sit here and say, damn, that's about whoops right there, dude. You can't really sit here and say that, like, going from Untamed to Reflex, how much of it just an overall advancement that was. You went to dual stick controls, you went to, all this different kind of feeling, way freer of a whip system. But then when you think about going from Reflex to Alive, it's not that same advancement, It's not that same kind of thing. They brought back the old school seat bounce actual button from the older MX vs. ATV games into Alive. They kind of went almost like backwards in a lot of ways, I felt like, but... And then MX vs. ATV Supercross was even worse than Alive. I just feel like the MX vs. ATV series has really struggled to get back to anywhere near what they were back in the Reflex, and then even like the Untamed, Unleashed for their time. Obviously it's different nowadays because Unleashed and Untamed are very old games at this point, but for their time, they were amazing. I feel like there's not really been an MX vs. ATV game that's been as good for its time since the Reflex, Unleashed, and Untamed days. I just don't feel like they've matched up to that since then. So I feel like we're all kind of waiting on that. I don't know if Legends is really going to be that. So I would definitely keep your hype in check on that. Like I say, I think it's going to be somewhere in between All Out and Reflex. So, somewhere in between. That's a pretty big potential range right there, but you kind of understand what I'm saying, though. I think it's going to be... I don't know if Legends is going to be that legendary. Hopefully it is. I would love for it to be. Hopefully I'm, magically surprised, but, I mean, you can see in the trailer, it is somewhat similar to All Out. You can see graphically, certainly the Supercross tracks, that early trailer, those Supercross tracks are almost direct copy and paste of the Supercross tracks from All Out, but it does look like we're going to get some more of those Lucas Oil Pro Motocross tracks. I don't even think they're going to be paid DLC this time. I think they're just going to come with the game. It did look like Lucas Oil Pro Motocross replica tracks in those early trailers of Legends, so it does look like we're going to get that. We've already seen early screenshots of a snow-vibed, biomed freeride area for Legends, so it does look like we're going to get some cool different kind of biomes that we've not gotten in these games for a minute. I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just all in trying to, it's like you can't really progress further than Reflex until you get a game that's back to somewhere at least on the level of Reflex, you know? You got to kind of get back to that point before you can even think about progressing further than Reflex was. I'm gonna pop off again, bro. Just kidding, bro. Mad Skills Motocross 69, bro. So anyways, dogs, I'm, you know, I got high hopes for it. We gonna see, you know what I mean, on Legends. I know a lot of people are wondering my opinion on that. It's all gonna come down to, do they have that feeling better enough from All Out? Do they have the physics better enough from All Out, different enough from All Out to where it doesn't feel similar to All Out? You know, that's going to be a really key element to it. And then if it has a track editor, if it's a PC-based track editor, I still feel like these AAA dirt bike games need to have some sort of gear editor, like jersey editor, you know, bike skin editor inside of the game. I can't believe there's not just like an entire portion of these games that's just like a fully customizable, like a track editor, gear editor, bike skin editor. Bruh, now that we got games like MX Simulator, MX Bikes, Reflex on PC, all these games that allow you to do that, it's, once you get into that realm, it's very hard to then go back to the games that don't allow you to do that. You know what I mean? Very hard to go back to the games that don't really have a PC-based track editor, don't really have the ability to add your own custom Galaxy gear and cool custom bike skins and bike models and all that shit. That's what allows these newer dirt bike games to actually last a super long amount of time. So you see what I'm saying? If one of these AAA dirt bike games doesn't have that, it's like, how in the actual fuck are they going to last as long as Reflex did? How is it going to do it? I mean, I just don't know. Obviously, even the base version of Reflex, if you don't even talk about the PC version, was fucking amazing because the stock track content was amazing. The free ride content was amazing, as you can see. The bikes were amazing in the game. They had all the bikes you wanted. The 250 two-strokes, 125 two-strokes, not just a ride this 250 two-stroke on one of the secret bikes on one of the free ride tracks, MX vs. ATV Alive. What the fuck are you doing? Why did you do that? I have no idea. Yeah, let's just restrict the content. We got a 250 two-stroke in the game. We'll make it a secret bike on one of the tracks, but you want to go customize it? Nah, bro. No, we're not going to let you do that. You want to go ride on it on another track? Nah, bro. It's like, oh, fun detected. Yeah, fuck that. Fun detected. We're not going to allow you to do that. Also, I'm pretty sure that was the same case with the 50cc little secret bike on the James Stewart compound on Alive. That was also, you couldn't customize it. You couldn't go ride on the 50cc bike on any other track in the game. Why the fuck not? Whoever over there at MX vs. ATV made that decision to make those secret bikes on Alive where you could only ride on them on those one individual free ride tracks in the game, that is one of the dumbest decisions I have ever fucking... That's so stupid. Because you already have the content in the game. You already have the 50cc bike, the 252 stroke, that like whatever that 650 street and trail, whatever the fuck that bike was on the Quarry free ride track. You couldn't even ride that ATV on that dune area free ride track of Alive. You couldn't ride on that ATV anywhere else. Why? At the very least, you should have been able to ride. I'm not saying you had to have like a bunch of customization options to the 50cc bike and all that, but good Lord, at the bare minimum, at least allow us to ride the fucking bikes that you put into the game on any other track in the game. Like, as long as they don't make really, really stupid decisions like that with Legends, it'll be a decent game. You know, as long as they don't make stupid decisions with, like cutting out half of the content, and they don't even really have a full Supercross series in the game, MX vs. ATV Alive, you know, as long as they don't do all that stupid shit, they don't make the physics super bouncy like when MX vs. ATV All Out first came out, you know, stuff like that. hopefully the terrain deformation will be really good in Legends. That is actually a pretty big potential for the game. For Legends, it does have that potential to have a pretty decent terrain deformation system. Obviously, when All Out first came out, it wasn't all that great, but then they started to update it and it got quite a bit better. So hopefully they've taken that like updated terrain deformation from All Out and then advanced it even more, made it even better. So we might have something comparable to Reflex's terrain deformation in All Out. I mean, in Legends. But it's just all depending on, like, if the sand tracks rut up differently than the standard dirt tracks, just like it did in Reflex. Like, you guys know how different, Sandwick ruts up and makes deformation totally different than, like, a Armadillo Flats or a Razorback track. Bro, they've just got to make some more legendary style, stock tracks on Legends like they did on Reflex. That's pretty much a must at this point. I don't feel like any of the stock tracks on All Out were anywhere near as good as the stock tracks on Reflex. I just don't feel like they were even close. I mean, some of them were cool, like biome design, like the tropical tracks on All Out were cool and shit like that, but I feel like overall they just didn't really capture whatever the stock tracks of Reflex captured, so that's going to be another really big element. But yeah, the T-Sip or the Predictor, at the end of the day, I feel like we're just going to get something that is somewhere in between, in every way, somewhere in between a MX vs. ATV All Out and a Reflex. So, and when you really sit down and think about that, that wouldn't be a terrible game. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be a terrible game. Hopefully it can at least match up to that, but you would have to imagine it's got to be better than All Out. You know, they have to have learned from the physics mistakes that they made with that game and some of the track design mistakes that they made with that game. They have to have learned some of those things and directly implemented that. MX vs. ATV seems like they're pretty good about staying in touch with the community and kind of what everybody's thinking and wanting. And, they hear all of the people saying, we want something more like Reflex, bring back the Reflex days, get something closer to the Reflex, track designs, physics, everything, whip design, scrub feeling. I feel like in the grand scheme, that's really at the end of the day what most people want, because it's just been so long since we've had anything even close to that. I feel like people want to bring back a little bit of that familiarity. Dude, I don't even know how to speak. Familiarity. Dude, that is a weird-ass word. I just now thought of that. But nonetheless, been so long since the Reflex days. I feel like we need a good MX vs. ATV game that kind of feels more like that again. Then if they want to go to something else after that, that's cool. But, we need to kind of bring this back to at least somewhat of a Reflex feel for one of the games. They've got to do it, And as far as, the career mode and the whatever they're going to do with all that, I mean, you would think, they got all that shit talking about this is where Legends are made and all that. You would think the career mode would have some cool shit to it. Of course, they have the license for the official pro motocross shit, but they don't have the license for the official Supercross tracks, but they'll still have, like they did on All Out, they'll still have, Supercross tracks called Atlanta, Dallas, whatever, you know what I mean? They'll still have that. It just won't be actual official replica tracks in the game, right? So I don't know. There's a lot of elements to this, but I know a lot of you guys are asking me this question of how do I think it's going to be? Is it worth buying? I mean, I really believe these MX vs. ATV games, the fact that they don't come out but every 3 or 4 years, these are so much more worth your money than a milestone game at this point, because it's just naturally going to be a different game than the previous one. It's just naturally going to be more of a different experience than each one of those individual milestone games end up being. So in that sense, I feel like it just simply is more worth your money than, each and every one of those Supercross games that are also AAA $60 priced. I feel like Legends, it's going to be worth your money. It's going to be worth buying, even if it's, you know, not as good as we think it's going to be or whatever. I still feel like it's because you just think about how different, like, All Out was from MX vs. ATV Supercross. You think about how different Alive was from MX vs. ATV, you know, Supercross. Even though those are very similar games, they're still a lot different because there's more time in between the MX vs. ATV games. So just that fact alone is why I say it's probably going to be worth your money to buy Legends even when it first comes out. Just because of that fact right there. That's not me saying it's going to be some amazing game or like way better than the best Supercross game or whatever, but as far as just money in the sense of are you going to get enough different stuff for your dollar, I do think it's going to be that. Do you know what I mean? I do think it's going to be enough different stuff. I know those trailers look similar to All Out. I know about all that. Okay, but you got to remember the difference of development time. You know what I mean? It's drastically different development times that we have going on here between THQ Nordic and Rainbow and then Milestone. Drastically different amount of time they have to put into the game. And that's going to make a difference, you know? It is. It's going to make a difference. And you're not going to see like the exact same kind of gear, the exact same kind of, you know, menus and all that kind of crap that you saw with All Out. It's going to be a different game than All Out. You know what I mean? It just is. I don't give a shit how similar those trailers looked. Again, I think they rushed out those early Legends trailers because that was around the THQ Nordic 10th anniversary. So I think they rushed that out a little bit. I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised by the differences with Legends. But that's just kind of what I feel with it. So nonetheless, man, I do think it's going to be worth buying, worth pre-ordering, because MX vs. ATV only makes a game like every 3 or 4 years. So it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like when a new Halo comes out. It's probably worth getting the new Halo because you don't get one but every 4 or 5, 6 years. But as far as like every single new Call of Duty game that comes out, it's not necessarily worth buying every single new Call of Duty because they make so many of them. You know, I feel like with like Call of Duty and the Milestone games, it's almost better to buy one like every 2 or 3 years than it is to buy every game every single year. But when it comes to games like Halo or MX vs. ATV that don't come out but every 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years, those are the ones that are more worth buying every time they come out, because if you don't, then you're going to wait like a fucking decade before you get one. So, you know what I mean? It's more worth it in that kind of sense too, because you don't want to wait that long to get another one. So, but yeah, nonetheless, that's my opinion on it. Hopefully it's better than what some of those early trailers looked like. Hopefully the track content's a lot more different than that looked like. But we just got to wait and see, boys. So, either way, man, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. I'll see you boys on that next one. Later, dudes.